Coach's Corner. Our guest this week is one of my favorites. She's been here at the college. This is fifth season now. Fifth season. Maria Wynn Radliff, our head softball coach and assistant athletic director. Last year was an NJCAA Legacy Award recipient. Congratulations on that again.
Thank you.
She's the owner of 856 career wins, has 149 of those at the college. Last year, the Cardinals won their second straight North Zone championship, had their first 50-win season in program history, and made their third NJCAA World Series appearance. And they start fall ball this Sunday at home at Drumgoole Field with 2 games at noon and 5 p.m. So make your way out to Drumgoole Field at Kane Park for that. Speaking of Drumgoole Field, that's where we're going to start this week. We're not going to go to Kane Park to start it. We're going to go to the fitness center. The exciting news last week that Drumgoole Field is about to move to campus with a new facility.
I'm telling you, Benny, it's been a long process, but it's exciting. The girls are exciting. Recruiting for us is going to change. Just to be able to have it here, to get more fans. We get lots of students that we get out there for game 1, and we can't keep them from game 2, and just being able to have some atmosphere.
Right.
You know, Dr. Morrison, Eddie Kite, Steve Grant, the board, everyone has just worked diligently for a long time, and it's a long time coming, and we're just really excited to get to be the inaugural team that's going to get to play there and put our stamp on those things and be able to get some signage out there and be able to recognize some of those former All-Americans and,
Sure.
and accolades and, you know, turf, LED lights.
And for it to be ours.
For us to be ours and for us to be able to create the footprint. I think, you know, we've been blessed at Kane. We've done some amazing things out there, but we were just kind of pigeonholed into the spaces that we had. So to be able to have, you know, the bullpens not be half batting cages, half bullpens, just to be able to have space, to have dugouts the sizes that we want, not to have to worry about the tarp, lights that are going to work, you know, just those things that you take for granted. And this is something that we're not taking for granted, and it's something that we're extremely excited about, and I'm just very blessed that we're going to have this opportunity.
And I know how you and all of our coaches like for our program to emulate those on the D1 level, to do as much it's like the D1s as we possibly can, and to be able to walk out of your own locker room onto your own field on your campus. That has got to just be a tremendous thrill for these kids.
Well, I think the biggest thing is you want to build chemistry. And to be able to do that and have this right outside of that building, because we have an amazing locker room now, but it's not at our field. And so, you know, it's not utilized maybe the way that we want it to because of just the spaces. So when we go to the fitness center and train, that space gets used. But now, to be able to come in, we can have a pre-practice meeting in our locker room. We can have everything set up. They can walk out the door and that space is right there. And then the availability for them to get extra work in, I think, is huge because it's just convenient. You know, not that Kane Park's very far away, but when you have to get in your car and you got to drive over there and these gates got to get unlocked and you can only have access to certain things, it presents challenges. And so, you know, I think for the student athletes, just the opportunity and the availability that's going to be available to them is going to be able to enhance their training. And it's going to give us a chance to really feel like we have our own home. Mm-hmm. You know, we've painted the walls and we put some signage out there, but to be on campus right by our building and just to have our student body be able to come and really truly give us a home field advantage. You know, we do an amazing job now, but imagine, you know, football and soccer and cheer, all 106 of them, you know, all being out there. It's going to be amazing. And I just look forward, you know, I'm one of those people, I just want it done now because my patience isn't real great. And trying to just let it develop.
And we should mention the hope to folks is that they'll have it done in time for the majority of the 2026 spring season anyway.
You know, we can't control the weather,
right,
and we can't control those contractors, but we've at least got an end in sight, and that's the things that are really important to us, and we're going to keep doing and being who we are, and when that opportunity, you know, presents itself for us to play on that field, it's going to be something that's going to be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to it and just really hope that it happens sooner than later.
Well, we got fall ball starting Sunday with 2 games at home at noon and 5, as we mentioned earlier. I thought of a topic I wanted you to talk about as far as fall ball goes. Talk to me and us about the perspective of fall ball from the perspective of your newcomers, and you've got 17, I think, of those this year.
We do.
Versus your veterans. Do they go into fall ball with different perspectives or different goals or different ideas?
You know, I think the returners understand what fall ball is. For us, training in the fall and participating in the fall is learning about our culture, understanding the speed of play, creating team bonds, and then giving themselves an opportunity to get recruited. When we build that fall ball schedule, we want to make sure we have an opportunity to play at home. We want our friends and family to be able to not have to travel and see us play. We also want them to kind of understand and experience what game day's like. So that way when we play at home in the spring, they've already got a couple pregame, kind of how things flow for us at home, all of that experience. And then we want to play for your universities that we think our athletes have the ability to play at, and maybe those schools are already recruiting them, or we want to make sure that we get them on the recruiting board and it's within a proximity of campus because we have budgets, obviously, that we have to maintain. But we want to, also get a mixture of schools. So we're not playing the same schools every year, but,
Right.
A UT Tyler and a Commerce, SFA, those guys were probably duplicating every year because of their proximity and that they recruit our student athletes. To go back to your original question, I think the newcomers are just really trying to figure everything out. For them, it's, wow, this is overwhelming. These are the expectations. I think for the returners, it's helping those newcomers along. It's, trying to figure out where they play because you got a Sydney Murphy who, played almost everywhere on the field last year, and she is our most veteran returning position player athlete. And so we're now trying to figure out where's the best spot she's going to play for us. And, we're 3.5 weeks in, and we're not for sure where that answer's at yet. But fall ball gives us an opportunity to move a lot of athletes around. We've got a ton of depth in the middle infield. We got a ton of depth in the outfield. We returned 3 pitchers that got innings, and then including Michaela Castillo. So we got 4 pitchers that, have had college experience. And then we've got some dynamic freshmen that are going to come in and have a chance to compete in the circle as well. So, for the fall ball perspective, I think the travel ball program games, we play a little differently than we do the four-year university program games, if you will. And so I don't know if there's a goal or perspective that's different from either one. From a coaching perspective, I think for them, the newcomers are green. They're trying to prove themselves. The returners kind of understand what it's like, and so they're trying to also put their mark out there. And you're just going to see a lot of new faces, and that's going to be something that I think you'll see all fall. And hopefully by conference season time in the spring, we'll really have it figured out. Who are those players that can do the things that we need them to do consistently at a high level.
One thing I have always appreciated about you is when you set up your fall ball schedule, the home games you set up on Sundays so that your kids can experience the atmosphere of a college campus on Saturday as far as football goes. Now, we've never had this conversation. I'm thinking that knowing you, like you look after your students, that's what your thinking is.
Well, when we recruit them, we want them to have the student experience, including the student athlete experience. And so I love football. One of the big reasons Ed and I was attracted back to East Texas and Trinity Valley was just the whole athletic atmosphere. We wanted to be a part of that experience again, and so we don't do anything on football Saturdays. So when we build our fall schedule, we look at Poe's football schedule first, because I want to be at our home football games. I try to get to our away football games within reason. I'm not probably going to get to NEO and NIMI, but Kilgore, Tyler, Corsicana, things like that, we're going to get over and support them, and we want our athletes to have that opportunity to do it as well. Another reason that we pick Sundays is there's so much recruiting going on. So example, we've got coaches that are going to be out on Saturday recruiting. So it gives them a chance to go out and recruit, for us to be able to attract more players to our campus. It also gives the student athletes that we're going to play a chance to play on Saturdays,
right,
and then be able to come here on Sunday and get more recruiting opportunities as well. And for families, sometimes Sundays is just a little easier. You can come in like this week. It's awesome because you can come in, you can watch football game on Saturday, hang out with your daughter Saturday evening, Sunday come and watch us play and make it almost like a family weekend. And so that's a big part of what we do and why we do it.
We talked about the newcomers. Talk about it as a group. What do you see in this group that I know they're players, or you wouldn't have brought them to Trinity Valley. But what's your assessment of this group overall?
They're really athletic. They're really fun. Sometimes maybe too fun for me. If any of you all know me, they're a little too fun for me. But they're getting me to be a different version of myself in a good way. I think as good coaches, you have to evolve. There's certain things that are always going to remain. Discipline's always going to remain in our program. That's never going to sway from that. But I think there's things that used to just get under my skin that now if former players knew, they would be like, oh my gosh, what happened to Coach Wynn? But, I think that's the big thing. Like, they're just very free-spirited. They got big hearts, and they want to do right. They want to do everything right. And so just reminding them that they don't have to be perfect. But, we got to control our attitude and effort. And we got to practice hard. We got to play hard. And so, they're pleaser type of humans, which is good and bad. And we're still working through some of those emotions. We've got some that are still homesick. We got
Sure.
some that are just excited for the first game. And so I think, you really got to get to know every single human on your team. And 20 years ago, I coached everybody the exact same way. And so these guys are teaching me new ways of being able to do stuff. And I think that's what's really fun, because we have built a trust and a bond. And so, we can have hard conversations, and we can have fun together. And I think that's important for me to remember, that this game is fun. And I always tell them winning is fun. You want to have fun, win. That's what my motto's been my whole life. But just I think this group is teaching me a lot of things about myself, and growing some patience and understanding that it's okay to repeat myself sometimes. And there's some challenges, but I think they're going to be really exciting to watch.
You speak of winning, and last year's sophomore class did a lot of winning in its 2 years. Broke, 100 records? I mean,
A bunch.
Sending me 100 records. It was a great class. What do you hope that this year's returning veterans most learn from that group of sophomores?
How to be good teammates. I think that's what's really, really important, in college athletics right now is, chemistry and teammates are the way you treat people, the way that you handle your locker room. That's things coaches don't want to have to deal with. And so I thought last year, in my 4 years of being here, that was the best that we had, and that group had really good leadership, and we graduated a ton, a ton of personalities, a ton of offense, a ton of defense, and so I hope that our returners really kind of understood what it took to be those leaders, what it took to grind out the season, what it took to be good examples, and can really work hard to do that, because they're outmatched.
Right.
There's 6 returners and a transfer to go with 16 freshmen, and we're very blessed. Cam Messick just came in as a transfer from UNLV, and has been amazing in the things that she's doing. Haley Jaime, we call her Juice. She's taken on a huge role of just communicating, and she's kind of my go-to person when I need stuff communicated to the group. I just tell it to her, and she gets it disseminated out. And I just want them to understand what it means to exceed in the classroom, exceed in our community, and exceed on the field. And that doesn't always have to mean 50 wins or a national tournament experience or a conference championship. It means just going out and doing our very best every time that we step on the field.
I'm curious, and I didn't have this question jotted down, but it came to mind as you were talking about last year's sophomores and everything. And I know it's about this year's team, but I do have this question. As a coach, when you put a class together like last year's sophomore class turned out to be, do you have an inkling that's possible, or I know you'll be honest with me. Did they overachieve what you thought?
They got a ton of experience as freshmen. Because we were turning that program over, and so they were very experienced. Did I expect Addie Wittrum to be an All-American Gold Glove winner as a freshman? No. Did I think she could do it over her time frame here? Yes. I knew Mariah was special, and I knew that when we got her, and it's just some of those things that you build trust in them, and you give them opportunities to succeed and fail, and it was fun. It was fun. Will we have a class like that ever again? I don't know. Were they challenging at times? Absolutely. But I think this year's incoming class is very similar to that group, because we're so young that a lot of those kids are going to get tons of experience as freshmen. And if they can understand and grow and develop into those roles, then that's going to translate over into that sophomore year. We've got 9 26s coming in already. We got a great commitment last night from a young lady that was at our camp on Sunday. So we had 58 campers on campus Sunday. Thank you for all you guys that came, because it's huge. It's a huge part of our recruiting program and process. And so we've got some other kids that we've talked to last night and calls set up tonight and tomorrow. And that's a big way that we recruit and get them on campus, get them a campus tour, let them meet our kids. And so, will we ever have a team or a group like that group? I don't know. I wish I could shake the crystal ball and tell you, yeah. But I know as a coaching staff, we're going to go out and continue to work hard and try to find the character of those young women, because that's a big part. When you got good character and you got some talent, and we can build on both of those things. I'll pick character over talent every day, because character doesn't take an off day,
right.
and I can enhance your skill set. It's hard for me to make you be a better person.
They were special. That was a special group. Now we'll get to the last question. We'll let you go, Maria. When you head into a fall season as the coach, what are you most wanting to see?
Wow. I don't know if I can say one thing.
Well, you
I think
take some liberty.
I think for me in the fall, I want us to figure out how we do things. When I build that schedule, we knew when we built it that we were going to be a little inexperienced, so we're going to pick it to play a couple travel ball teams first before we head out to San Antonio. And obviously we scheduled around football, and we have to schedule around those 4-year schools that have football as well. Mm-hmm. We want to be challenged. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, half the time the scoreboard's not even on. Ball strikes, outs, but runs, things like that. So we're not going to get caught up in what the scoreboard is. We're going to get caught up in how we do things. And our goal every time that we step out on the field is to give our best in every capacity of the game. And I think for me, that's what we look to do. And if we can look at September 21st in comparison to November 5th, I think is our last fall ball game, did we get better? And if we got better, then we're doing the right things. And are we prepared to go into January and compete with a top 25 schedule, to give ourselves a chance to play in a regional tournament, to give ourselves a chance to play in a national tournament?
Maria, thanks for stopping by. We won't tell the other coaches, but you're always one of my favorites. I said one of. I gave myself some room there to
He's got like 12, so.
Yeah. But the Cardinals will be at home Sunday, 12 and 5 at Drumgold Field at Kane Park. In the spring, you can come on campus and watch them play. We're fingers crossed that everything gets finished up in. We'll be back next week with another Cardinal Coaches Corner. Thanks for joining us this week. Go Cardinals.